Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ECL Casual Friday. We're diving right into this game one between Kiar and Mail. We don't currently have the deck list for you, but we should have those between rounds. Now, Mail is on a fairly standard looking Kennedan list. Well, Kiar has brought something very interesting. This is a super unique take on Combre, making use of as many different bug type creatures as possible. Bug styled things. So you've got your humbug swarms, and your time flies, and your Marson, and possibly Marson's disciple as well, to produce vermin.
Yeah.
And I hope to see it go off, or
Yeah,
just
this
to
looks
see it just to see time flies allow mail to go off.
yeah, Kiara's hand doesn't look like anything crazy is going on yet, but we know the list. We know that there's some good stuff hiding in that deck. Some non-traditional, beautiful time flies just waiting to be played.
Certainly. That's a card. Let me make sure the players know that they're ready to go.
Vin- Venom Rider is surprisingly pretty sweet. I have played Venom Rider before against Kinnedans, and any charge unit is a bit of a liability just because end of hostilities works really well on charge units. But I mean, there's a lot in Kiara's deck that if it gets end of hostility would actually be pretty good.
Yeah, Marson most of all.
Yeah, Morrison, even the disciple is a lot of units to be giving Kinnedans.
Speak of the eldest, and she shall appear. Kiara just
Yeah,
drew one of those Marsons, but as we can see, is also very far away from being able to play her.
yeah,
So
and is
until
about to
then,
be even farther
yeah,
because doesn't torch the trail maker. I'm a little surprised about that actually.
that's definitely an odd choice from Mail. Generally, you want to get rid of the power producer, and instead, Mail's going for the 3/3 Venom Rider. It's not like
Yeah,
Mail has really anything to be super worried about getting killed by a Sand Strider, and Mail would have seen that Kiar didn't play power that turn. I mean, at the point where Mail fired off the torch, there still would have been a post combat opportunity to play power source, but yeah, I think that Kiara is very glad that Torch did not target the Trailmaker.
yeah, and this Marston's disciple is pretty good. I actually thought that that was what Kiara was going to lead with last turn. And he did draw another Venom Rider, so I'm surprised that that it was time to play Morrison's disciple, but I'm sure there's a plan in mind with all of this. Ooh, that's nice.
If that Molotnikova had Tribute rather than Spark, it could be firing off this coming turn, but if Kiara
Yeah.
attacks with everything, that still could be happening. I do
Well,
agree with this block here by mail, but it, of course, was fairly representative of that stand together, the
yeah.
attack. But
And Male is still one fire influence short of, it's a little hard to see, but one fire influence short of being able to cast Molot,
oh,
which
yes,
is
you're
good.
correct.
That does mean it's pretty safe here for Cure.
Yeah, I need
Hmm.
to read those influence numbers more frequently. That's one of the few things I frequently forget.
Venom Rider is kind of okay here, but so is Sword. I mean, Sword on the Disciple is actually pretty good. It kind of divides the threats a bit. They already have Aegis, so the staying together is not that important.
Yeah, the only thing you'd be losing not spellcrafting stand together with the Sword of Unity is an extra +1/+1 on those
Yeah.
units that are attacking. And at this point, Trailmaker is definitely not. This game would have gone so much differently if that Trailmaker did get torched because
Oh yeah.
Kiar's still on 4 power.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think Male is still in a bad position, unfortunately. just because of this extra stand together, it makes the blocks just really awkward.
Yeah. Well, I have to quintuple block that. Good choice, Mail.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
choice,
you kind
Mail.
of have to put 6 behind it.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
But
And I
Mail
can't
didn't
actually see his life, but
Mail didn't also block the Trailmaker, so that is actually going to be lethal.
oh, is it?
Yeah. Mail was at 9
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Mail's life total is available within the hand cam zone right up at the top. For those of you who are
Oh,
used to having it a bit further down. That's just how it's working out today with the hand cam.
I missed it. Oh, okay. So there's the deck list. Yeah. So Kiar is on a really odd Combre list. I really hadn't figured out that it was bug themed until you said something, but it makes a lot of sense after seeing the cards.
Yeah. Pretty much all of those units are bugs or create bugs of some
Yeah.
sort.
Is a scorpion a bug though? Would you consider it a bug?
They're arachnids, right?
I actually have no idea what the technical specifications of a scorpion is.
Yeah,
They are
scorpions
arachnids.
are
Okay.
arachnids, which I feel people shoehorn spiders into the bug class fairly often.
Fair
So
enough. I'll
I
give
think
Kiara a
that's
pass on
fairly
it then.
yeah. It's certainly not an insect, but this also never claims to be an insect deck. It's a bug
Yeah.
deck.
Okay. Fine. I'll accept it. Okay. So the power is I thought at first when I saw this hand that Kiara was going to have problems with power, but that seat drop or draw really helps a lot.
Absolutely. And hope, hopefully for Kiar's plan that hopefully for Kiar this time there isn't any power issues where you're so reliant on having a unit to provide you that power, because I think Mail would be torching
Yeah,
that unit
maybe.
this time.
I kind of liked playing the standard maybe a little bit earlier instead of that seat. I can understand wanting to turn that standard into a spell and didn't get punished at all for it, so that's fine. But it's just one of those things where sometimes it's a little tough to actually cast your spells if they're locked in a depleted power like that.
So last turn for Kiar, we saw a Marin Stinger attack and be unblocked, which triggers its infiltrate ability, putting 3 Scorpion traps into the top 20 cards of the enemy deck.
Yeah.
Those kind of like fire bombs are spells with destiny, but in this case, when it goes to your void, the enemy player plays a 1/1 Scorpion with deadly.
Time flies is a dangerous play here, but
Incredibly.
tempting. But tempting, right? Because you do have this stand together, and it's kind of you're kind of like maybe I want to get the value off of this stand together.
I
Okay,
mean, that's kind
I
of the
actually
value, but I I don't think this is quite where Mail
yeah.
or where Kiar wants to be actually,
Yeah, I
because
agree. And I think that maybe the play was if you're going to play time flies there and that block was what it was, just let the disciple go most likely, and then
yeah,
you play like maybe one of these roaches or keep up the tactic because you do have to think that Kenna is going to be coming down since you just gave your opponent a lot of power.
I mean it's either Kenna or End of Hostilities, and
Yeah,
End of Hostilities, well, wouldn't do much there as Kiara was all blockered up, but as we can see, Kenna certainly is. Now, I'm not sure why Mail chose to use the snowball into
yeah, I don't know.
the attack on the Sandcrawler that turn. It kind of seems like just a waste of a spell that could be used later on.
Yeah, and now we're seeing a. This is actually so I've messed a little bit with Time Flies Big Combre, and one of the powerful things about Time Flies is putting a sword on it is actually really quite good.
Yeah, and
So I'm not.
that's exactly what we're seeing here by Kiara.
Yeah.
It's a very risky card as your opponent gets to play with the new power first,
Yes. Yeah.
but it's also very significant ramp for both players and
Yeah.
can become a flying threat if it does pick stuff up. Ooh, now
Ooh. Well, we
Mail,
can only put one of these on the
yeah,
bottom.
Mail will have to be giving one Scorpion over to Kiar, but the second
That
one
does
won't be
pump
happening
Kenna.
because it goes down to the bottom. And yes, you are correct, meaning right now she is an 11-12, and that is still not going to be enough to allow Mail to outrace this Time Flies.
That is true. Yeah. It was probably an interesting thought keeping both of them, which is kind of weird, just to get two spells for Kenna and doing 15 here. Being at 6, I don't know. Doing 15 is nice. That means that if you somehow chained a whole ton of spells next turn, you might be able to kill your opponent. But not really, because this Time Flies is gaining some life.
I think one of the things you'd have to be wary about giving Kiar additional Scorpions is that those Scorpions will be able to attack in the following turn, and
True.
with the help of a buff effect such as that Stand Together, it could prove to be lethal.
Or even a sword on that Scorpion would be pretty ridiculous, because then
Yeah.
it's got Overwhelm and Deadly.
Of course, if it were a sword, you'd just put that on the Time Flies and attack for lethal. If you're
I mean, that's, there's less style points that way, but sure.
eh.
Sure.
Now, Ixton Merchant as the draw allows Mail to get Molten Akova, Combustion Cell, Flamestoker, Caleb's Choice, and Skycrag Banner. I don't believe any of those are necessarily quite enough, but yeah, wait, Mail might have the power to now. Yes, Mail will have the power to play Molten Akova off of that, and with Spark too. So that will
That's
break the
exciting.
Aegises and provide a blocker with its own Aegis. Oh, but the top deck for Kiar. Kiar doesn't actually have the power to ultimate it as well.
No, but he can return something
Yeah,
with this
he
tactic.
can bounce something with the tactic before
Decides not to do it.
blockers. Okay.
Deciding not to do it's a little weird.
Yeah, I don't see why Kiar would sequence things that way.
Maybe Kiara wants to see a third game, just as much as we'd like to see a third game. Because this is a chump attack into the Molot, right?
Yeah,
that's just gonna be a straight, yeah.
exactly. So I mean, Kiar
I
might be
don't like these
tacticking.
blocks though from Mail.
Yeah, agreed. You're just sacrificing Kenna in a situation where Ixton Merchant would have happily traded with the Venom Rider and
Yeah.
Kenna would have bounced off of a Martin Stinger.
Yep. Yeah, and that was a pretty fancy play from Kiara, I suppose. I don't think we're gonna see a punish, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where you'd really like to see the misplay punished, but instead it was just traded off with another misplay.
Is there something on the top of Mail's deck that I'm not seeing?
There is not.
Okay.
Mail is just going through the motions.
Just enjoying himself, yes.
These are the cards I have. Good games. And with that, Kiar takes this match 2-0 over Kennedy, even while being seemingly fairly power screwed in game one. Maybe there's something to those bugs.
I will tell you that I have played enough Time Flies to say it's pretty bad. But in this instance, it looked pretty good. Looked okay. Let him actually, cheat on power a bit and play that sword with its spellcraft is pretty good.
let's dive into Safar versus Magikarp.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I haven't seen a good mono shadow deck in a while. I'm really excited to see what Safar did.
It looks like you'll be seeing this from Magikarp's point of view, while the Handcam will be providing Safar's mono shadow deck that's also running recon towers, like a full set of them. Well, if we look at the board state right now, Magikarp is at 25 health and Safar is at 14. Magikarp just played a Flying Aegis Champion of Cunning that currently does not have the units get +2 ability active. That will require 2 more Shadow Influence for Magikarp.
I know
But
Safar. Okay, so it is 10 power, 10 influence. I was curious about how much power Safar actually had to utilize this turn.
yeah, that's 10, which means this 3-cost spell is functionally hard removal.
Yeah, he used the recon tower to pop the Aegis, right? That's
Yes,
pretty. That's exciting.
that's one of the things you can do with the guard tower.
This Ranger's choice is looking a little embarrassing. That channel is kind of scary though.
Maybe since we're in an Aegis world, there really is something to be said for recon and guard tower.
Um,
It still seems like a very expensive way to do that Aegis popping,
yeah. You want to know
but it's
something like
repeatable.
one of the weird things is when you decide to play a card like Recon Tower, I've found that it actually gets removed really fast. Like people look at it as an exceptional threat, and I'm not really sure why. But um I was playing an excavator deck with the Indisneer and Recon Tower as a way to get power after you've played the Indisneer,
Right.
and it was getting banished before I even had an excavator in play.
So what
My
does
opponent was
Magikarp have in the market? Because after that Channel the Tempest, Safar is down to 3, and if there's any way to deal some direct damage, oh, it looks like
burglarized is interesting.
Magikarp is getting burglarized.
I'm actually surprised that CFAR decided to kill that unit. There
You know,
maybe was something to taking it with the crown just to gain some life.
the Subvert is actually working out quite well here for Safar. It, of course, grabbed that Jotun Feast color and has started to draw Safar cards while also allowing there to be some pressure from Safar's side. But also worth note, Safar really doesn't have much in the way of ways to gain life, so Magikarp's just digging for a way to deal now 4 damage. Jotun
There's
Feast
a
color
way.
kind of a way,
Oh
but
yeah, Feast Caller is a great way for Safar to gain life, but Magikarp I think didn't play it. Oh, okay, no, not. Looks like he's not going to utilize it this turn.
it's better to get rid of Safar's Feast color before
Yeah,
trying to play your own if you're Magikarp. And another strategize finds Black Sky Harbinger. That's another good one. But we also have to keep in mind that Safar has 2 copies of Dangerous Bargain and a touch of the Umbran in hand.
yeah. So the
So
touch was why I was thinking that there was a possibility that maybe keeping the 2/1 deadly alive was good for gaining some life. But
I'd much rather dig for a larger unit out of Magikarp,
you
personally,
you could, yeah. And the other
especially
thing
since
is,
a number of
sorry.
Magikarp's big threats are dual faction. So
Mm-hmm.
going ahead and using the Annihilate that Safar did there just means that the follow up options still work against something like a Black Sky Harbinger.
Looks like Seafire might have gotten a little punished for playing, for pinging for one there instead of holding up Death Strike. A little sad. I does burglarize just say relics? I would need the
Steal an
text on
enemy
it.
relic and put it into your hand.
Okay, so curses are not free game for that card.
That is correct. This is not going to work out quite as well as Safar hopes.
No? Oh yeah, I suppose Ranger's choice.
Yeah, and then next turn, Magikarp will be able to attack for lethal.
Yeah. Dang.
Squirrel was
I
two power off being able to ping the Aegis and follow up with Death Strike.
I was rooting for Safar. I really was. Oh well.
Magikarp took that game. Cross is not currently in game, yeah. I can double check. It appears that that may have been the end of this match and possibly the end of the round off of that. Due to that being potentially the case, I think it's time for us to take a bit of a break leading into the next round.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, we are back. Cygnus and Grimfan here, casting round two of the ECL Casual Friday. This round, we're going to see A player whose name will be, to me, just Lane because I'm not good at pronouncing names that I think are Japanese. Well, playing a Felmscar Strangers list that might be something that Kalos, who is currently our producer, had dreamed up in the past. Otherwise, it may be something that Lane built up themselves. I don't personally know. Over on Yuriku's side of things, that is Dark Tokens, making use of Bandit Queen and Torrent of Spiders on top of the traditional Praxis Tokens package.
Yeah, the Felonscar Strangers deck is something that kind of comes together fairly naturally because Grim Stranger and Hair Trigger Stranger, along with Ruthless Stranger, are all very aggressive cards. So it makes a lot of sense to me to have an aggressive Stranger deck in those factions. The man, I cannot even see what that says, but the Stranger that I think it's Merciless. No, sorry. A Savage Stranger. Savage Stranger is a really interesting addition to this deck. I've never tried that before. I do like what it does. It's a little bit slow. Soaring Strangers are obviously very great in this deck. I may have considered more Mask Makers just because of how powerful an effect like that can be for Strangers. And
Right.
the Merciless Stranger is very good in combination with Hair Trigger Stranger, but it's a 5 cost 3/3, so it's really hard to play more than one of those. But I do like this deck a lot.
You can see
Reunite has a
that
lot of utility.
other than the Soaring Stranger,
Sorry, what
Lane
was that?
seem other than
Oh,
the
oh
Soaring Stranger, Lane seems to be sticking with just one of each of those 4 or 5 cost strangers
yeah,
as things to go get off Reunite
yeah,
from
and I
the
think that
toolbox
that does give
package.
you a lot of extra virtual copies, which is great. And I've tried to make this dark tokens deck work multiple times. I've never tried playing Rally though. I have tried playing Queen, and usually you just do not build the correct board for Queen to be good. Like having a bunch of 2/1 quick draws is not super great. Um, but maybe, and I'm surprised to see only one Torrent of Spiders as well. But it does
Yeah,
look like a very interesting list.
some of the interesting notes is that like Sandstorm Titan is brought down to 2 copies. Well, there's also full 4 Arcanum monitors and a scrap tank. It
Yeah.
definitely seems like it could prove to be somewhat tough to be playing Shadow in a deck that also is running Heart of the Vault, but it's also something that can possibly happen. It just seems like a more aggressive slanted deck like this might not be the best place for it.
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to get this party started if you are.
I'm ready.
Oh, and it doesn't show it, but in that tokens deck, there is a market. And at least I didn't see it on the list there. It might have been there. Was it there?
I wasn't paying close enough attention to whether the market was there or not.
Well, in the market, he has a Uric has a Nova Quake Titan, which is kind of interesting. I think that's going to take a lot to actually deploy.
Certainly, but that's one of the nice things you can do with a market. It's something that
True.
you'd like to be able to deploy if you get into a situation where you're able to. But
Yeah, I would just be
otherwise, you can just
surprised
get
if this
other stuff.
tokens deck got to 10 power, but anything's possible, really. And plus, with Obelisk and Arcana Monitor, maybe it gets there.
And of course, Lane is one of the players who has chosen to forsake a sideboard
Yeah,
to stick with this very aggressive, streamlined plan.
yeah, it makes sense in a
Market
Strangers
plan.
deck to not really have a market. I mean, you kind of have Reunite already for that sort of thing, and the merchants don't really synergize with the deck, honestly.
Yeah, that's actually one of the ways the merchants have weakened a lot of the tribal themed decks. And
Yeah, they just have
Strangers
no
was
synergy.
never really one that was super powerful before then, anyway. But I do like this particular direction Lane has gone with strangers, and I'm excited to see how it works out. We can
Yeah.
see that Lane is going to be able to start off with a turn one reckless stranger. I don't know the strangers' names. Ruthless
Yes.
stranger.
Ruthless. Yeah, I didn't remember either. After you forgot, I forgot, which is fine. Well, Lane's hand is actually still good, even with the destruction of that stranger. I think this hand is still pretty good.
Yes. And it also, of course, gets that torch out of Yuriku's hand.
Yep. So so if we ever get there, hey,
That's a double
never
stranger
didn't have
drop.
it.
Yeah. A Ruthless Stranger plus a Hair Trigger Stranger means that the Felm Stranger attacks as a 3-2 with Quick Draw,
Mm.
and that definitely blanks the Amber Acolyte as a blocker. Yurikyu is now going to have to waste the spend the whole turn attacking with Amber Acolyte and choosing still not to combust something using it. Instead, just
That's a little odd.
completely passing the turn with, I suppose, since Yurikyu was planning on not blocking a quick draw unit anyway, you might as well get in for some damage. But the thing is, at this point, you might have to be blocking a quick draw unit if you are Yurikyu.
As lane, I think if you're gonna play this strategize, I kind of like doing it before attackers, just because you have a chance to draw Grim Stranger, which would have added another 3 damage to that attack. Not a big deal, just a small thing.
And Lane has lethal.
I may have missed it. I
I
only
just
count
miscounted.
11. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
my bad.
No, it's fine. It looks very close to lethal for sure.
I don't believe that Yurikyu has a way to survive the next turn, though, and
Yeah.
we're seeing the power of Soaring Stranger. Flying is a strong ability, especially when your opponents don't have it.
Yeah, Yurik was hoping to get to 6 power and be able to just heart this stranger giving quick draw, but that's no longer a plan. And uh, does not have enough power to actually combust and play queen, I don't believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it
All
would have
right.
not been
Strangers took
possible.
Strangers took the first game. I mean, that was a really ideal hand from lane there. That was very, very good.
Absolutely. And highly aggressive decks generally are very high roller based decks, and I believe that Strangers specifically is going to be one of the ones that has very high rolls and
Yeah.
a number of very low rolls as well.
Yeah, I think it takes the high rolls to a whole nother level, honestly, just because the deck's pretty bad if you don't draw some of those strangers that do abilities or
Yeah.
have some sort of effect on the board.
Players are moving on into game two as we speak.
This
Now
redraw
Yurku.
looks okay, a little bit weak, but not too okay. Well now lane has to make a decision. Can't really actually utilize that ruthless stranger on turn one unless the plan is to go get a felon stranger at some point with this reunite, which seems weak to me.
Oh, if you need to go get a Felm Stranger with Reunite, you happily do. But look at that, you top deck a Primal
Didn't
Sigil
need to.
instead.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with getting the pressure onto the board as fast as possible. Iquara now also gets to play Hair Trigger
Well,
Stranger.
the ruthless stranger is actually still fairly good, even on turn three or whatever. It's really not that bad.
You're correct. Now, Lane chooses to attack in with both strangers, and that's going to result in Yurku triple blocking the Ruthless one, meaning 2
Yeah,
Grim
those are
Reaper
good
will
blocks.
die and 1 Stranger will. Unless Lane chooses to spend this Annihilate, which definitely seems to be on Lane's radar of choices to potentially make this turn.
Yeah, Annihilate only has a couple of good targets. Unfortunately, Yurik has one in his hand, but it doesn't have a ton of great targets just
Oh
because a
no,
lot of
for
the threats are multi-faction.
and Yurik did not draw a power this turn, which
Yeah.
means that that's going to be a point where Yurik is stuck on 3 power and no influence to cast Annihilate.
Decides not to annihilate the Ruthless Stranger. That might be one of the better targets for it.
And Yurikyu followed up by drawing depleted power in the Crest of Impulse. I think that those couple of turns were just too much of a stumble to survive against this Stranger's deck, putting forth a very, very extreme clock,
Yeah.
especially with the second Ruthless Stranger.
Yeah, that's I'm still surprised that Annihilate hasn't come out. I'm guessing he's waiting on like a Soaring Stranger, but I think it
He
was
doesn't
time to
have
save some
Shadow
life.
Influence.
Oh, does he not? Oh,
No, he
okay.
doesn't.
That makes a lot of sense then. It's really hard for me to see the influence, but I'm looking in the wrong place. That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, and a Grim Stranger. Okay. Can't I don't I think that's just death. I guess this Annihilate sort of prevents that, but he'd have to do it now.
Certainly would. And
Yeah.
it's now too late. That's lethal. Even if each unit got blocked, there won't be time for blocks. So Yurku's just doing a bit of science to see if that reduces the damage, and it does not.
Yep.
So Lane took that in very quick fashion on a 2-0 against Yurku, showing that aggro decks are really good at punishing people who stumble on power.
Yeah, and once again, kind of high rolled a little bit with the power decisions and just in general, as far as like cards go. But it worked out. Can't really judge somebody for drawing well. So
So, uh, Cross and Deadly is what I'm thinking.
ooh, Cross is playing a First Flame deck with it's like maybe a First Flame Reanimator. Yeah, Reanimator list with First Flame. That's cool.
Hopefully, we'll be able to provide hand cam on that as well. I will let you know if that becomes an option. Unfortunately, I do not have Deadly on my friends list. I'm providing the hand cam here. I do have Cross, so if you have Deadly, we can be providing the hand cam here as well. All right, now we'll be able to get to see the full picture, and part of that is that Deadly just abducted the First Flame. Does Deadly have any reanimation in this deck?
uh Dark Return, I think, is the answer to that.
Well, I don't know if Deadly is going to be able to get the extra 4 power that would be necessary to be able to hardcast First Flame while also getting a Dark Return. But you know
Probably
what?
not.
That Argenport Ringleader in Deadly's hand.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. Uh we're about to see Kenna and Grasp. That's a combo that I've been messing around with lately, and I like it quite a bit. All right, well there's the fifth shadow for Deadly. It's gonna help them quite a bit with this champion being turned on. Do you think we'll see this ringleader coming down?
I
Like the problem is, do
sets
you expose it?
Well, that's the thing. You're going to have to expose it for at least one turn to be able to hit with it.
Yeah. I kind of like developing the shadow power as well, though.
Certainly.
Uh,
Though
Unless I'm missing something and Deadly's just out of basic shadow sigils.
it could be the case. I haven't done the math on that myself,
Oh goodness.
but
So there was a Kenna
here's
in the void,
yep.
and the observer triggered tribute. So that's really scary.
And
Oh my goodness.
there goes the ringleader. Well, one of the Kenna's killers and the other one attacks for 9. That
Yeah.
puts Deadly to 13, and I do believe Deadly's going to have a really tough time from here on out. Now, there's an interesting draw, certainly. An Umbran Reaper can definitely be a unit, but not necessarily a large enough unit.
Yeah.
It has
Not very
flying,
large.
but flying also doesn't matter if it just dies to annihilate, though the entomb ability, the life gain on it, certainly is important. And honestly, the damage could prove to be possibly relevant as well, since the life gain will allow Deadly to survive this turn. Maybe there's a world where Deadly's top deck can be lethal.
Ooh.
But a Haunting
Well,
Scream draw for Cross as well
yeah, and
to go
he
get a
just pitched a
Gorgon
Gorgon.
Fanatic, yeah.
Yeah, that's just gonna do it. Even had it before that haunting scream, but hey,
So he did. And with that, Cross beats Deadly in.
I think they were I think it was 0-1 for Deadly at that point, so they might just be
Interesting.
tied up now.
We are moving on to a game 3 between these two players then.
That's pretty awesome. I really do think that there's a lot to explore with Kenna in a grasp deck. As we
Yeah.
saw, it's not that hard to trigger tribute. I did it recently with a temporal deck that was mostly just trying to block and trigger tribute on your opponent's turn, and then play a grasp at fast speed to grasp back your Kenna. It was a little silly, but the deck that Cross is working with is actually pretty. I don't know about the first flames, but I do like the idea of a Kenna Reanimator deck. I think that there might be something to that. I really like the shell of Herald Song and Nocturnal Observer. Maybe Whispering Wind could be a little bit better than Herald Song, but I'm not positive on that. Now this hand looks quite interesting.
Yeah, Cross does have, of course, have the Nocturnal Observer, which is a way to pitch those first flames, and the
Yeah,
Turndown Merchant could perhaps get Grasping at Shadows out of the market. So all the
that is a good
pieces,
point.
except for the power, are potentially there. And in spite of that, Cross decides to leave the second grasp on top. Perhaps thinking that maybe we wind up seeing a world where both grasps get used.
So
But
Deadly
also,
just wanted extra crests, and that's why he's playing a crest of order. That's kind of interesting.
yeah, that's a thing that some players do. And in a situation where you're playing a very controlling deck, it's a very reasonable choice to play a crest as a new Benalia.
Yeah, there's also only one Seek power in his list. I wonder if there was any consideration for maybe a petition instead, just to be able to hit your influence requirements. It doesn't look like he's going to have too much trouble here, but you do want to get to five primal and 5 shadow.
Yeah, well, you do want to get to 5 and 5 for sure in a deck that runs Champions of Cunning. I feel like petitions just aren't quite worth it in a 2 faction
Maybe
list. I
maybe
don't
not,
feel like you have to be 3 faction control or
but there is
some
there is
various
only
other.
one Seek power in his list, which leaves me to believe maybe it could have been a little bit better as a petition, just because Seek power seems also kind of weak. Ooh, I didn't see what got hit by the chairman's contract, but obviously there was a unit in there somewhere.
That would have been Gorgon Fanatic and
Oh my
or
goodness.
Nocturnal Observer.
When first flame goes off, it's a thing of beauty.
Certainly. This is why Cross is wanting to play First Flames in this deck.
Yeah.
It's a First Flame Reanimator deck that's also a Kenna Reanimator deck, and
Yeah, I mean this
now
list looks
Deadly's at
really sweet.
8 on turn 5.
Yeah, and all we have here on this defense is one little Rindra. One Rindra versus a lot of snakes.
But the
I
Hailstorm is going to wipe out most of that board.
yeah, and actually kind of combined with this permafrost looks okay. If Deadly decides to use the permafrost, there might have been like maybe a trade, but then what are you doing after your trade? Just like dark returning Rindra? That seems okay, I guess, but not amazing.
I mean, interesting. Cross decided to put back the second First Flame. I suppose that
Instead of discarding it, yeah.
I suppose that does sort of make sense when you recognize that there's no longer market access because Cross instead chose to get the Azindal's Gift.
Yeah.
Playing up against a fellow control deck, it does make sense to make them rile and wither hand size wise.
So before Deadly drew this Umbran Reaper, there might have been a consideration to just bringing back the pig. But now that he's drawn this Reaper, it's just time to go, I think. Just
It's
get in there
Reaper
with the champion.
time.
Yeah.
Deadly's bringing back the pig too.
Yep, just why not have a 3/3 in your void instead of a 2/2? Seems fine.
Yeah.
So now I think that unfortunately we're looking at a really dead cross.
That seems to be the case, especially as the first Herald's Song hit a Felm banner and the second one an Amethyst Waystone.
Oh man.
Congratulations to Deadly for beating Cross with Felm Control versus Cross on Kenna First Flame Reanimator.
Yeah. Yeah. Another sad result. I was a cross fan in that one. I gotta stop taking sides because my side keeps losing.
I do definitely like that players are experimenting with more ways to play Kenna than just Kennedin.
Oh yeah. I think Overmasters win with on Tuesday with the Huru tribute deck just shows that the card is very powerful in a lot of different shells.
Certainly. That was the last game of the round, so I think we will be once again going to a short break to determine our feature match for round 3.
Sounds good.
And we are back with round 3 of the Eternal Casual Friday. How are you doing on this fine round, Grim Fan?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm excited. I want to see this Hero of the People deck get a lot of keywords. There aren't a lot in the list, but there's enough. There's enough for me.
Yeah, the ones there certainly are effective. So, Aesthetic is on a Hero of the People Argenport list. No Tavrods to be found. This is. When Grimfen was first looking at it, it's like, oh, this seems like a very stock Argenport mid range list. It's
A little
got
more
Bloodhole
aggressive,
War
yeah.
Leaders, but it seems very stock. Well, he looked a little bit closer and determined that no, it is indeed not stock. It is
I
a Hero of
stand
the People
by.
list.
Besides the Hero of the People, I'm going to stand by the fact that it's pretty stock.
Where
Hero
are
of the
the
People
Tavrods? Why
is
are there Black
spicy.
Hole War Leaders?
There's no Tavrods because this looks a little bit more aggressive than the normal Argenport mid range list.
Yeah, it just tops out at Crownwatch Trader, which is a card I really do like.
Yeah.
Over on Flippy Flop side of things, we see a marketless monstrosity.
It's not a monstrosity. This deck looks beautiful. A little
Calling
light on the
something a
spells.
to be fair, calling something a monstrosity, at least if I'm the one doing it, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm condemning it as a bad
Okay.
deck.
It's a
It's just
beautiful monstrosity.
that it's an amalgamation of cards that I know are good, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen played together. And
Well,
Acquisitive Crow, which I like, even
I think it's a
if I
little
don't
light
know
on spells. That's my only worry is that this Rizon and these bullet shapers are not going to be super great in this deck.
without
That
the Crow.
well, yeah, not just without the crow, but also like I guess you could technically look at you've got a few
Also, Coastal
spellcraft
Battle
weapons.
Mages.
Yeah, and the battle mages are also going to be. I think a lot of the deck hinges on these crows attacking, which is a little bit scary because crow doesn't get to attack very often.
Well, the players are ready, and I believe we've given these two decks an adequate introduction, so let's see how they play out against each
Yeah,
other.
I want to see some great spells with crow. Plenty of water of life. Maybe we can get a blood call invocation.
No,
Thinking
no, it's going to be 100% Call of the Ancients.
perfect. I mean, that is a pretty sweet spell to hit off this crow.
And
And
then Flippy Flop will
there are
never
two
try.
crows in hand. Flippy Flop knows how to play a crow deck. I see two crows. I'm excited. That
Yeah.
means one of these crows is going to live as long as the set doesn't draw any more removal.
Or a Flying Blocker.
Correct.
Or
like that
if
one.
Flippy Flop puts a Linebreaker's Shield on an Acquisitive Crow.
Please don't do that, Flippy Flop. Play around the Vanquish. Oh no, this War Leader might actually hit Flippy Flop. Oh
Nope.
no, there's the Permafrost. Okay.
Once again, proving that War Leader does nothing.
No. War Leader made Flippy Flop not play a crow.
And also
Aesthetic doesn't
8
know that,
removal
but
there. You're right.
yeah,
It did do things there, but still, I don't like
I
War Leader.
yeah, I would say it did way above what it normally does.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good draw for Flippy Flop. Crow with those bracers is pretty scary.
I mean, it does get to hit twice before the Vanquish happens, and each
Yes,
of those attacks, never mind.
or it gets to hit nothing. No, Crow.
Maybe the next Crow will get to do that. Also,
All right, well that's another really good. Yeah, another really good draw for Flippy Flop.
I
And
think
by the
it's
way,
going to happen.
I don't think that there is a better name in Eternal than Flippy Flop. At least I haven't casted a better name yet, so I'm excited about this.
Oh, I don't remember who it was, but I feel like a couple of weeks ago we had someone that was awesome. I mean, aesthetic is nice too.
Yeah. Aesthetic is fine, but Flippy Flop now, that's a premium name.
It doesn't look to be animated to me.
Oh, okay, fine. Oh, wow. That's a great spell. That's insane, actually. That's going to kill that
That will kill
that
Insane
commando.
Commando. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
And Feed the Flames can activate Tribute in this not Kenna deck.
Yes, it can. Uh, that ramp does mean that we're looking at Razan next turn as well. And I
Yes.
think you're just going ahead and run out that intervention.
Razan, of course, also has lifesteal already.
Does it really?
Yep.
Have we gotten to that point in the game? That's fast. This is
Torch
a
the
better
Copperhole
Rizon deck.
Torch the Copperhole Blessing off of the Bracers and the Seek Power. Plus the Island's intervention.
So it looks like I bet Aesthetic's probably gonna go to the market, and Macto looks okay here. Could also get another Vanquish if we're looking to be killing that Rizon.
Though Aesthetic doesn't necessarily know there's a Razan in hand.
True.
If there is, Macto's usually a good blocker for things like Razan. In
Yeah.
this case, that won't be true because of Linebreaker's shield, but Aesthetic couldn't really know that. But also, Flippy chose not to block, not to kill the Winchester Merchant there. I don't agree with that. Flippy has
Uh,
access to Aesthetic's deck list and could know that it's very possible Macto was going to be run out here. And then if Flippy Flop didn't proceed to. Actually, never mind. What am I thinking?
yeah.
You can
The
just use
shield the
the
shield
shield.
changes that a lot.
Yeah, you can just use the shield's ability. I was thinking, oh, well, the shield gives plus two, a combination of Macto and Winchester Merchant can still block and trade there. I was being an idiot. This is an insanely strong position for Flippy Flop,
Yeah.
and I don't believe an Unseen Commando draw is going to help out Aesthetic at all.
It helps a little bit. It means that Aesthetic isn't just dead here. But you're right. It doesn't help. Okay. Well, that we didn't
That
even get a chance to see that Gleaming Shield be played, but that was the lethal.
Yeah, that was lethal. That top deck of Gleaming Shield, which is a card I've tried to fit into various decks a couple of times, and so far haven't really quite managed to find a solution for it.
Yeah, usually I've had it in the market for the Horde Plunderer deck, and it still just doesn't feel that good. Most of the time, mirror image is just better. So
Yeah, well, specifically in Horde Plunderer, Answer the Call ramp decks.
that's cool to have it main deck, yeah.
Yeah,
And I've only tried that deck once, and hitting Horde Plunderer wasn't very exciting in it, just because I mean you got a couple of good spells, but usually it wasn't powerful enough.
yeah.
Speaking of powerful, this hand for Aesthetic is a little slow but really good.
Over on Flippy Thop. Well done, Flippy Flop. You managed to make me have a lisp.
Hey man, Flippy Flop's a hard name. That's what I'm saying. It's the best name in Eternal to cast. Oh, Flippy Flop's hand is decent.
Yeah, it's a
It's
little
also
bit
slow
slow
though.
too, but yeah, has access to units and copper hull bracers.
That diplomatic seal is really good for Aesthetic. Let's see what it got. Aegis. Aegis on an enforcer is pretty annoying.
It's mediocre.
It's mediocre. It's a 3/3 Aegis flyer. That's awesome. Come on.
Eh, Flippy Flop has a decent number of bigger flyers though.
It's true, yeah. But you have to be inspired by what the Tranquil Scholar has provided. It's the potential. The
It's not an
potential for
Inspire
this.
effect though.
Look, it's inspiring. It's an inspire effect if it's inspiring. And to me, I was inspired. I think it's good. Good
Yeah.
to go, that is. Here, I think we're just, I kind of like just attacking with this battle mage. I really think that once the Aegis is gone, this card is
That
kind of,
that happens.
yeah, that happens. It's just, maybe we were thinking about the blocks. I guess it did hold back the ground pretty well.
Yeah, Flippy was keeping that around as a blocker and as a possible unit for picking up a copper hull bracers with spellcraft, or even without spellcraft here. As
Hmm.
now Flippy can toss that onto the Crownwatch Paladin, hit in
I
for
kind of like
six,
playing the
play
flyer.
another power, and get the other Crownwatch Paladin into play. But there's
Yeah,
also something to be said for playing out Shelter Wing Rider because then it can pick up Deep Forge Plate, which is another one
yeah,
of those weapons that Flippy Flop is playing here.
yeah. The Deep Forge plate should be fairly powerful here. I don't know if that
Flippy
would.
Flop seems to agree, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's where I was planning on playing Deep Forge Plate.
Oh, and now
Oh,
that's pretty much the
yeah.
maximum punish.
Yeah, I would have much rather combo punish on the bracers than on the Deep Forge Plate.
Yeah.
As it turns out, putting a multi-faction weapon on a monofaction unit does not turn the unit multi-faction.
Yes, correct. Yeah, the crow is pretty good though. I could see a crow plus paladin turn happening here. The crow can actually block one of the ground units pretty effectively, and we've seen it's pretty good with bracers.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, but I think at this point you do have to be just getting multiple units in play rather than a
Yeah.
single unit. But Flippy Flop disagrees, and I think
Well,
maybe Flippy got rewarded.
that maybe that blade is not is that blade's pretty scary. I think that aesthetics thinking maybe I should just play it on my enforcer and then give Flippy basically no great blocks.
And
Because
that's what Flippy agreed.
yeah, well, that's
Flippy, you
lethal.
have to you have
Yeah,
to jump here.
yeah, you can't. Unfortunately, you can't just trade.
And Flippy sees the writing on the wall with that and takes a concession.
All right, I'm still rooting for Flippy. Flippy can do it, or a really good hero of the people. That would make me happy as well.
I think we've seen sort of the higher and lower roles for Flippy Flop now.
Yeah.
Another
Well, I think
another deck that definitely has a fair amount of variance, definitely more than aesthetic.
yeah, I think that the you were probably I think we were both sort of coming up with different plays for Flippy than what he ended up doing. And who knows what would have I mean, he still probably would have lost that game, but there were some sequencing things that maybe could have gotten him out of some of the trouble he was in.
So
Maybe.
now we see a hand where Flippy Flop might be bullet shaping, but for
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I don't really like Bullet Shaper that much in this deck, and so I don't really know. It does definitely wants that seek power. So I don't really know what it's gonna do. I guess casting a quick Razan or throwing a bracers on something plus activating the blessing early could be kind of interesting.
In this case, possibly tossing a quick Deep Forge Plate onto a unit,
That's kind of cool.
even onto himself maybe, but that of course is in danger of dying to Vanquish, and here's War Leader doing her thing, aka
Yeah.
dying to Torch.
It ate a torch. Okay, that's an
Yeah,
important skill
that
for
that
an
is kind
infantry
of
to have.
relevant because of the other units in Aesthetic's hand that could happily or unhappily eat torches, rather.
Yeah,
And there's another one. That's another good torch target.
it is. And now we're looking at maybe the merchant getting power here. Uh, it's not what you want to do with your merchants, but you got to do it sometimes. So what did aesthetic just trade away? Because I didn't catch that.
I believe Kalos could check the market for us, but I missed it too. It
It was
appears it was
Vanquish.
Tranquil
No,
Scholar.
oh, it was Tranquil Scholar. Okay, I was like, it's No, it wasn't
It's
Vanquish.
the
Tranquil
one
Scholar.
at the
Okay,
far left.
poor Scholar doesn't want to go for the random ability on something. That's probably the safe play. Man, Crown Watch Trader is so annoying.
Yeah, it
It
dodges so much removal.
Yeah, it dodges
Vanquish?
Vanquish so
Nope.
good.
Permafrost? As if.
Yeah, the endurance on it is not even something I realized it had for the
Finest
longest
Hour,
time.
though. It does not dodge Finest Hour.
It does not, no. And this crow, I think it's time to put down this crow. Time to get
And
excited about some spells.
and unless Aesthetic silences the crow right now, or silences the Bullet Shaper right now, We could see Flippy Flop put Deep Forge Plate onto the Crow.
Yeah, it could be tempting to silence this battle mage, just because there might be a fear. Okay,
I
never mind.
agree. You go for the Crow. The
Fine,
Battle Mage
fine,
is
fine.
particularly scary if you have a bunch of spells and the Crow gives a bunch of spells.
Yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah.
spells the Crow gives could be anything and could prove to actually be quite scary. And
They can.
also, Aesthetic knows that Flippy Flop has a bunch of weapons, and flying Berserk units carry
Yeah,
weapons very well. There's no
they
real
do.
reason to silence anything other than the Inquisitive Crow there.
Bullet
And
Shaper attack's kind of interesting.
just an ace base.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you just didn't really feel like, you know, clicking things, then it definitely makes sense.
But the downside is that a triple block here is going
Oh,
to kill the Crow and leave one unit behind.
it does, but it's just a 2-2 flyer. That's okay. Ooh, that was a nice draw though.
Yes, but like if you kept the Bullet Shaper behind and attacked with it that turn, it would have forced Aesthetic to decide between killing the Bullet Shaper then or killing the 7/7, and you'd probably go for killing the 7/7, but then you'd get in with the Bullet Shaper this turn, and
Yeah,
it would still be around in the following turn.
yeah,
Now,
but now, now,
Aesthetic
now,
has
it's,
the
yeah,
superior board state, but
yeah.
Flippy Flop's still able to attack in with the Coastal Battle Mage and has certainly a lot more health.
I could also
So,
definitely seeing one of those. Yeah, exactly. One of the weapons in Flippy Flop's deck just coming in really huge here.
and I do believe Deep Forge Plate will be doing exactly that.
Yeah, it's kind of, I like that as the plate holder just because of the ages at this point. But there is something to maybe splitting the threats up a little bit.
I like it
But I
as
think this is good.
the plate holder just because Battle Mage has more is a larger threat without it.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose that's true. I actually, you definitely don't want to go to one, so that makes sense to me. It does sort of force the double block pretty well. I
Exactly.
don't know though. This second commando is pretty scary. Oh, well, maybe
Haha!
not.
Nice
That's
top
a
deck for
finest
Flippy
tower.
Flop. Yep. Finest Hour will allow. Wait, what? Why?
Yeah, it's a little weird because it only puts aesthetic to
Why?
one.
You
And now we know we're dead to everything. May as well just go ahead and attack with both.
no attacking with both. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
there we go.
a top deck Copper Hull Bracers was what Flippy Flop needed. There,
Yeah,
picked up the two War Cries.
the attack was definitely correct there for aesthetic though. Putting
Aesthetic could. I I'm not sure if it was correct, but Aesthetic could. Oh, well, not Aesthetic. Flippy Flop in the previous turn could have finest houred an opponent's or one of his opponent's unseen commandos
oh,
and
and
killed it.
vanquished it. Yeah,
I
that
think
that
that was
is a.
actually the optimal play.
Mm, I mean, that was definitely a play that would have, yeah, in the long run, I think that would have been a lot better. You're right. Just because then it leaves aesthetic with basically just the commando, and
Either
he's got no
way,
way to race at that point. All right, looks like we are going to see Uriku and Vampus, and Vampus is on probably one of the most powerful tournament decks in the game. I'm actually surprised that he is not undefeated with this thing,
all right,
just
I'm back.
because of how good it is.
Can you hear
Welcome
me?
back.
I
Yes.
accidentally unplugged my microphone.
Ah, got you. So Vampus is on Talir combo, and I find this deck extremely consistent. And it's possible that Vampus is not super familiar with the deck because, or actually, I now see who his loss was. He lost to the Stone or the Felonscar Strangers deck, which is
Yep,
probably
that
a
would.
fast enough, yeah, a fast enough aggro deck that it can kill before this Talir deck goes off.
But
But
yeah, in a controlling meta, I feel that Vampus definitely has a big advantage. The one
yeah,
thing you have to be worried of, though, is a Novaquake Titan turn.
yeah,
Currently bonding with a Sandstorm Titan or a Arcanum Monitor would bring Novaquake Titan down to 9. So
it's hard to
we're
tell how much
still
power.
going to see
Uh,
that Yorkyu, who is currently on 6 maximum power, will need to get more than that.
okay,
And
all right,
while that's happening, Vampus is attacking with a 28/28 killer Carnosaur to kill off
yeah,
the Arcanum Monitor. And now
yeah.
Vampus
All
has
head is very powerful.
two
I,
copies of
I
Mask of Torment in play. Currently, neither of them are giving any more maximum power than just the +1. And what was
yeah,
that you were saying?
the masks aren't like a super important part of the combo, and I'm actually not even sure that Manu's latest list plays the masks. It might, but I'm not positive that it does.
I should really look into that list because I played a little bit of it in like the first iteration, and
And now we're gonna see this Nova Quake Titan. I'm pretty sure that's yeah. So that will kill Fompus pretty hard here, I believe.
yeah,
Or, yeah, silencing all of those things, and he decided to deploy Talir, which means that the combo is actually not available if he
that
drew a
doesn't
merchant
matter
next turn.
because it just made
Is
room
that
for a
lethal?
lethal
Okay,
attack. Yeah,
fine. If it wasn't lethal, then there is merit to just playing the healer instead of the Talir.
it was lethal though.
It was lethal, but with the healer, it wouldn't have been lethal.
You make a point there.
Yeah. So my point was I don't think Talir was the right play.
I'll have
Really, what you want
to
to do
double check
with
with
this
players
deck,
to see if that was the end of the match.
okay, what you want to do with that deck is because, and I don't really advise this if you play in tournaments because it's a little bit sad, but because in friendly matches there is no turn timer, you can go very far into your combo and you don't have to worry about actually running out the turn timer. Do not play this deck on ladder unless you're extremely comfortable with losing to yourself, because there are when the deck starts to go through with the Voda Talir combo off of a merchant, it will not stop to give you more market choices until you've actually gone through and stopped the combo itself. And to do that, you have to basically kill your own Talir and Voda or Voda with your replacements. So replacing a creature will kill either of those.
It appears that game resulted in the players being 1-1.
Yeah.
So we're diving into game 3 where Yurku has access to a decent bit of ramp, but no normal power drops without getting one out of the market, which
Yeah.
Yurku chose to do.
This looks like a pretty okay hand for both players. That heart's going to be pretty good eventually. I honestly, Yurik's deck looks very consistent for a
Yes.
3 faction deck right now. Wonder
How
what.
much in the way of life gain really is there in Vampus's list?
Uh, let me look because it looks a little different from the one that I'm used to playing.
Right, because
You've
it
got
seems like there's
scribes,
yeah, scribes.
thurges, and waystones.
Okay,
It looks
so
like.
in spite of being a fairly beefy time mid-range deck alongside the Tilair combo, it also is running the Theurges for repeatable life gain.
Yeah, and I really don't like putting back the power here. One of Vompus's goals is going to be get to 9 power, and that way, what he can do is actually play the Talir and Dark Return the Merchant, and then go off instantly. So I don't really like putting power into the market.
especially
I
since the merchant will have to die for the dark return to happen, and she's provided
Yeah,
stuff on power.
and well, there is a Devour in hand, so I guess that will give a little bit of power because of the life gain off of Devour, which is nice. Surprised to see these tokens not just coming in. I know that there's. I think this looks like a pretty good rally turn to me.
I mean,
Maybe
this is
not as
definitely
exciting
a
as.
rally attack, but it's not that amazing of a rally attack.
Yeah,
I'd
it's a.
say it's a pretty okay. Scorpion Wasp shows up to block the Aurelian Merchant. Then I imagine Vampus's Aurelian Merchant is happy to block the Trailmaker. Please, if
The O2 block is kind of weird, but I guess it's fine.
I disagree with not removing as much of Yorku's power suppliers as possible.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
don't think
agree with you.
I don't think you really mind if your Aurelian Merchant dies at this point if you're Vampus. You wouldn't mind devouring it to get that extra card draw,
Yeah.
but you could also devour one of the favored.
Well, that's a second rally we just saw Yurick peak at, and that is going to probably wrap this one up, I bet. Just
Certainly
because,
stings a lot.
yeah, 2 rallies. That's gonna be a good 20 damage on its own, most likely unblocked, essentially. Even if a Dark Return were to bring back one of these Talir favored.
And even that
Talir's
isn't
favored.
happening.
Yeah, this is super. Well, I suppose this is only. Oh no, yeah, never mind. I was thinking they were all 1/1s. Yeah, I didn't math correctly, but yeah, this is definitely lethal.
Also, even then, it would still be 25.
Uh, it should be Oh yeah, you're right. I was thinking that one of the tokens was also. I don't know what's wrong with me, but yeah, it was super lethal. All
So
right.
Yurikyu managed to outrace Vampus there, once again saying that
Yo,
your best tournament deck of all time.
hey, man. Most of the time, you don't see rallies in a tournament setting. To be fair.
Yeah, and also that's a different list than you were particularly thinking it was at first. So there's
Yeah, it's got a few different cards in it. I'm not even sure if the list that I'm thinking of runs Mask anymore. It might still be running Mask. Um, Mask is very good at ramping you to just the right amount for the combo. Really, the biggest thing is you have infinite time in a friendly match, and with that
yeah.
deck with infinite time is really hard to beat.
Yeah. Well, that was the last match of this particular round, so I think we're going to take our last short break of the night and prepare for the final round 4. You lead us in this time.
Oh, you want me to?
Hi.
Oh, we're
Give
already
me
here.
the opportunity to.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are currently in round 4 of this beautiful casual tournament this Friday. What are we looking at here, Cygnus?
We're looking at two more players that we haven't had an opportunity to see yet tonight. Allison versus Jikaran. Allison is on a dark. Uh, gosh, what exactly is that? So it
Well,
is
this
a.
is Isomorphic's 5 Stages of Destiny deck. It is a known deck, but it is pretty out there for sure. It is an Oath Book deck focused on revenge units.
Oh, I see.
Specifically, Piercing Grief is your main kill condition. That's why there's actually one stash in the market because you really want Piercing Grief,
Right, you bring them back.
and you, yep, and then you also after you attack with that Piercing Grief and put it in your deck, the next turn you can rise for it, bring it back again, and then start dark
And have
returning
it
like
bigger
mad.
as you do that. Interesting.
Yep.
Well, over on Jikaran's side of things, we see what at first seems to be, oh, it's Skycrag aggro. Except there's also three combustion cells and two end of hostilities in the main and one in the market. And it's definitely being a little bit more of a slightly slower deck trying to make use of end of hostilities to say, hey, look, if for some reason we get into the late game, I'm going to do what you're doing as well because maybe that means that I can still
Yeah,
beat you if we
it's a
get
little
past the
strange.
crucial Skycrag aggro turns.
It's pretty cool. It's a little strange. I mean, we're not the it feels like the committing to that plan, that secondary plan, is a little half-hearted. There's only 3 end of hostilities total. A little like 6 if you count the merchants as virtual copies of end of hostilities, and there's only 3 combustion cells. So it'd be really hard to actually cast this end of hostilities in this list unless you draw, one of those cells.
But the players are ready and we're ready, so let's determine if it can prove to be interesting. It
Yeah,
also has Dusk Raiders in it, and maybe there's a world where Sensory Brigand picks up Berserk, and then you end of hostilities
yeah.
that and just smash Allison for a lot of damage. I don't know.
Well, the problem though is that this Destiny deck has a lot of incidental life gain. These Piercing Griefs are going to gain a lot of life for Allison. It's also playing duos, as we can see in their hand right now. So there's going to be a lot of life gain.
So here Jagran is committing the Champion of Fury to get in the damage, as you do when you're playing Skycrag Agra.
Yep. Yep, and Allison unfortunately is missing power. I might have gone for the coal or the quarry just to get that power, so next turn's a little bit better. But Ops is just going ahead and torch the champion.
It is reasonable to be worried about an amount of damage that could be flying out from
Yeah.
Jikaran here, but you see, once again, one of the negatives of that, Allison drew a Stone Powder Alchemist, which would be really great if she had the power to play it. And she
Yes.
certainly does not. Instead, she chose to go for the Piercing Grief just to gain some extra life, though it's
Yeah.
not a lot. And
So the
we see
quarry would
that
have definitely missed, sadly. The coal might not have, though.
at this point, I think it's just too late.
Yes. Yeah, way too late.
So Jikaran shows that Skycrag
Yeah.
Aggro can very happily punish a deck that stumbles.
So when Jikrin was entering this deck, do you think that calling it Sky Crack aggro was a little bit of a typo, or is there just like some sort of crack theme that we're missing to this deck?
Well, I didn't even notice that it was Skycrack, and I Can't think of any.
Maybe because it's Skycrag with a merchant, and maybe looking at Genev merchant as a drug dealer. Not, I'm not sure about that.
Eh,
A little weird. Well, kind of a stretch, right? I don't think that's it.
I'm just gonna go with the typo line of thinking.
Okay. Well, I mean, but then that's the typo is a little bit of a stretch because that's two letters as far as the typo goes.
It also could have been that um, they were submitting on mobile and it autocorrected to something
Oh,
that's more of a word than Skycrag.
yeah. Okay. That
Maybe.
that makes sense. Although it's funny because my phone will actually correct into eternal terms because I've used them so often. Allison's hand looks a little bit better. Unfortunately, on the draw means these coal the decks are going to be fairly weak against Skycrag.
Yeah, and Jikaran will be able to start off with a turn one sigil into some Champions of Fury that will not wind up having their abilities active, but I still think Jikaran's happy to
Yeah.
get them in play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this hand looks fine. Ooh, an oath book. All right. So Allison definitely has tools that were missing last game, but is missing the tools that made last hand good. The last hand,
The
which
tool
is
that she has that she
torch.
was missing is power.
Yes, true. But also the oath book is an important concept to the deck.
There was one in the
So,
last hand. She just couldn't use it
oh,
because
was there?
she
Okay.
was being pressured too much. And right now she's being pressured a lot again. Next turn,
She
Sensory
is, yeah.
Brigand can show up, and that represents another 4 damage with charge.
She wants a Starker turn, but cannot actually keep it. I don't think. Oh, she decides to keep it anyway. All right. Maybe this revenge unit goes straight to the top. We could always hope.
It's a good thing for Allison. Jikaran did not draw a Primal Sigil there because that
Yeah.
would have been still not quite lethal, but you would have been able to add an additional. Actually, it would have been exactly lethal.
Yeah, but attacking with this duo, unfortunately, is. I mean,
Also,
would have been
not
lethal anyway because of the torch, but
yeah.
all right. Well,
So
Skycrag Aggro
yeah,
did its thing.
that's a bit of a shame. I did want to see Allison's deck progress into later turns, but it
Yeah.
just turned out to not be the matchup for it.
And we're probably going to be able to get you guys a backup match because that was very fast.
Certainly. It appears that we also have the result that Magikarp on Film Control, the version that's also running. Or is it not that version? Huh. Maybe I'm just being
Yeah,
stupid.
I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah,
think his was the just basically phone control, phone control.
yeah, so Magikarp on Film Control beat Flippy Flop, who was on the Acquisitive Crow 3 faction deck, to take first place tonight, but also it's the Casual Friday, so
Is CFAR
read
still
into
going?
that what
Is
you
CFAR
will, I
still in
suppose.
this? Okay.
I think Kiara versus Cross might be
Yeah,
kind
that
of
sounds
interesting.
really good. That's the reanimator deck.
And Kiara's on Crows, or not Crows, Bugs. And
Yeah, that sounds great.
I'll access us some Cross. Oh, and the board state that we're diving into is certainly an interesting one. We see that Kiara has once again put a Sword of Unity onto a Time Flies, and also
Oh
has
goodness.
a, a Marm Stinger that had been temporarily buffed up by Crown Lodge Tactic. But now, on Cross's side of things, that's what I call a large hand.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. We might just see this Kinna eating the fly, but there are a lot of There are probably a lot of decisions in this right now.
There was a Draken Shaman who swallowed a fly?
Yeah, apparently.
Or two flies? Because, I don't know, it's one time fly for each power? Because if you look at the art, there's two?
Now, I bet you
Or is it one
that
for each player?
Cross was probably not super excited to make that play just because it did cost that extra power, which he was probably looking forward to utilizing. Of course, it
And,
doesn't matter
yeah,
because
Kiara.
there was lethal the whole time on top of Kiara's deck.
I mean, you have to play around the situations where there might not be lethal. So, do we
Yes.
know if that was the end of that particular match? All right,
No.
so Kiara managed to beat Cross, and we just got to see the last few moments of it.
Yep.
Let's dive into Deadly versus Vampus, see if maybe the Talir combo deck can work against a Felm control list.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I'm probably about to see the best tournament deck lose again. Now I'm a little worried.
We shall
Maybe
see, I
my
suppose.
maybe my deck evaluation skills are not up to par. Um, I mean, this hand doesn't look too bad for Vampus.
Next turn, Vampus will be able to play that Mask of Torment that was just acquired out of the market and follow up with an Amber Waystone, having the influence to activate it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I didn't see what Vampus put back with that merchant, but I'm sure it was not super important.
Talir. There's now two Talirs in the market.
Ah, okay.
Around
That
the Deadly side of
burglarize,
things, it was Burglars.
yeah, that burglarize is gonna be really sad. Not right now, but eventually.
Yeah, and I suppose that it's a very heads up play when you know that the player who's running masks in their deck just went to the market.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised that Vampus was willing to trade away his merchant there. Kind of weird to me.
Interestingly, we've also seen a board state where Deadly has previously abducted and then dark returned an Aurelian merchant.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the merchant was worthy of a dark return, but hey, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you need that extra power.
It didn't get played, but there was probably a plan when it initially happened.
Yeah. Either way, Vampus now has Alhed in play, and
Yeah, so he's got an 8/8 Thurge, which could have been an okay play here. I'm a little surprised that he attacked with the All Head, but this permafrost draw means that Vampus is willing to look into the future. But burglarize couldn't see that coming, I guess.
yeah,
Pretty sad days when your Mask of Torment gets burglarized. Let me tell you, it's no
yeah,
like +9 mask, but it's still pretty sad.
true. It's certainly a sad play, especially when you think that Deadly also has a moderate number of ways to gain some extra life.
Yeah, it
Kendra,
might
Varus
it might
Choices.
actually be time to go get this Talir back from the market. Just make it a 16/16 and looking to play it soon.
Yeah, that is probably the best choice here for Vampus, and that's what he goes for. He hopes that at some point he'll be able to grab an additional way to, oh, well, grab a Dark Return to be able to bring back his
Yeah.
Rallying Merchant and finish off the combo, but currently we don't see that.
No, and interesting. These champions are pretty bad. They're not really doing much here.
I mean, they have flying.
Uh, no, they don't. Not yet.
Oh, you're
They will
right.
soon,
They're
though.
getting close to it, but they do
Yeah.
not yet. You are correct. So much so that Deadly might consider tossing one into the market, but I don't suppose I'd do that over tossing the merchant into the market at this point.
Yeah, I think the merchant could probably go
That feels
in
really
cold blood. Okay.
bad that the thing you spent a dark return on is now has been sent to the market.
Yeah. Okay.
There's some
So
more potential card draw for Vampus. Can
yeah.
actually be activated this turn
Yeah,
if
that
he
Thurge
is
is gonna
Therage.
draw a couple cards. All right, it's a big Carnosaur, and in power. Power is an important aspect of what's going on here.
Yeah.
Now, Vampus is just a dark return away from being able to combo.
And in spite of that, Vampus decided to keep the Sandstorm Titan on top just due to the possibility that Deadly might wind up starting to put out some flying threats. Though I'm worried that Vampus might also be giving Deadly a bit too much time to perhaps channel Vampus' face a couple of times.
Well, still pretty far away from that. Luckily, yeah. I think keeping Titan is okay. No, I probably wouldn't have done it myself just because I'd be looking to assemble my combo as fast as possible right now. But at the same time, Titan is you know, it's a comfort blanket. You have a Titan, you feel comfy. You don't have to worry as much about flyers.
You
I
sure
think
that's
it's
not just its scarf?
it could be a comfort scarf that would make sense.
Yeah.
I wonder what Deadly's thinking about right now. Okay. So there is a 10-2
I
or
imagine
10-12
Deadly
Titan.
was mulling over Dark returning Karendon Merchant,
Yeah.
but it
That's
looks like the choice was not to. And here's another channel.
yep. And the power still doesn't look good for champions. Rindra could be okay. Champion might be better. I don't know what's left in Deadly's market though at this point.
If I'm
I said
Deadly, I'm
champion.
thinking
I meant
that
merchant.
getting back Rendra here and then or maybe getting the merchant to go get BSH at some point because at this point I'm starting to think it's time to play my stolen mask just because
Yeah.
5 power is not enough for a Felon control deck.
Yeah. And what's interesting about mask is it takes you straight to 7. So that means one power of any kind, you can maybe start using these channels.
However, Deadly instead chooses to play out the Karendon Merchant now and send one of those channels away, instead getting Haunting Scream, perhaps with the plan to screen back Rendra on the same turn as play
Yeah.
out that mask.
It might actually be time to just devour this wisp, maybe.
Yeah,
I think
Vampus really needs to be digging because the Dark Return is necessary to finish off this combo or
yeah.
an additional merchant.
Decides to put it back instead. I'm not really a big fan of that. I kind of think you could use the all head to actually set the combo up if you are confident that your Talir isn't going to die.
Yeah, this line of play seems slow, and I don't want to be doing slow things when I'm playing a combo deck.
Yeah. Yeah, not so much. Okay. This is a little weird. Oh, there is a dark return though in Deadly's hand, so I can kind of see what's going on with the Scream Ranger plan right now.
Yeah, but I mean, Dark returning it means that it will still cost 4 after that. So, like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this instead of getting the mask out now? You really do need that power.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And I don't know. It's just it seems kind of like the setup might take too long for this to have a payoff. We also know Titan is in Vampus's hand, which makes this even a little less good.
Though I suppose at this point Deadly is trying to be able to kill Vampus before Vampus combos off.
Yeah.
So
Well, at this point, it looks like Deadly's going to have plenty of time because, like I was saying, with the plays that have been made, it's going to still be really difficult to combo. There was a clear line to achieving it with the
I'll head
all
ultimate,
head being
but
in play.
now that
Yeah,
the Aurelian Merchant hasn't used it, we're instead sitting here, Vampus just
yeah.
playing a all head mid range list.
And I don't understand really attacking with the merchant,
Well, if
but I guess
Deadly
it's fine
blocked, no, that wouldn't help any. Yeah,
because I think isn't there already a merchant in Vampus's void?
there is. So at
Okay.
this point, it's just to get into damage because Vampus, I think, has just decided to enter the
Yeah,
just attack with my units plan.
yeah, and Deadly doesn't want to take 12, so it makes sense in that way as well.
Yeah, Deadly instead wants the Deadly unit to take the 12.
So he uses the Dark Return to get a merchant. Um, I don't. I guess a Black Sky Harbinger is something that's left in that market, which is fine. Still can't play it, but hey, you never know.
And also, unfortunately, for Deadly, both the Temple Scribe and the Initiate of the Sands that could have died to that will not die to it because of the Owlhead.
Yeah, and it looks like Vampus is going for kind of a combo starter, but it looks like it was a miss.
A miss and a miss.
Yeah, Hailstorm's not really great here.
Even
Could
if Deadly could somehow combine that with the Black Sky Harbinger, it would only be killing 2 units. 3 if you
uh
count his own.
yeah. Well,
Vampus is still drawing stone nothings. Now there's
yeah.
the
Oh,
Dark
there's
Return.
Dark Return. Perfect. Just keep
So,
that on top
yep.
and maybe don't attack with Tulier and then
Yeah, that seems
things
like
can
a good
happen.
idea. In
I'm
cold
oh
blood.
well, now playing this Tulier feels a little foolish.
hmm
Oh well. Is Deadly running Abduct? He is, right? So that
Yes,
it's
he
a
is.
little scary keeping the Tulier in your hand. Okay. Um so probably for really just leveling up the mask. That's kind of interesting. I
Huh?
don't know what all is in Vampus's void, but I feel like there could be a tool in there where the Dark Return might be fine.
Merchant, Carnosaur, Scorpion Wasp, Temple Scribe, Talir,
Okay, so literally the stuff that we've seen die. All right,
Sage. Yeah.
good to know.
It it would have just been better. This is the better line of play for now
Yeah, I think all of
because
this really hinges on putting back uh that wisp with your all head.
yeah, the it was the wrong play.
Yeah, it's tempting. I can understand it because you want to draw cards,
Yeah, I
but
like drawing
it's kind of
cards
like
as much as the next guy, but also
yeah,
you'd be drawing a lot more cards right now, Vampus, if
yeah.
you had put the merchant on top.
It's a little bit like using second sight in a way, or excavate. Like you're gonna be drawing one of the cards you already know, and since you also know that you've got like a Titan coming, it's like it's kind of weird, is what I'm saying. Like it doesn't actually draw as many cards as you might think. So it's just one of those kind of, I don't know.
So instead, Vampus now needs to find once again a merchant, a
Yeah,
Talir, or a Dark Return.
it's quite a few outs. It has some other okay things too, like a Tormentor could be fine here, just activating the mask, swinging for
Yeah, he'll
8.
be able to do that in this following turn if he doesn't have anything else to do, and it certainly provides a threat.
Another
Mark
merchant is
4.
kind of interesting for Deadly. The
Yeah.
the thing is with this Titan out, Tormentor's not super exciting. It's still pretty good, but it's not
Right.
it's not thrilling. And if these champions ever turn on, it could actually start to be really difficult for Vampus to win the game outside of the combo.
I mean, Tormentor in the Void.
Yeah. The tokens will be really cool. I don't know. Still a pretty long journey for that to be effective, but I guess
Yeah.
it's just
So I feel like if Deadly hadn't been stuck at 5 power or even 4 power, 5 power, yes, 5 power for several turns, I think that Deadly would have been able to punish Fompus for these slow lines by now.
yeah.
But instead, we're seeing a situation where that hasn't happened.
I kind of zoned out, which makes me feel silly. But did all the channels go into the market?
Yep.
Okay, that I'm not positive that that is correct.
And they
I
can't come
think
back because the
no,
merchant that Deadly is using is the Karendon merchant.
and honestly, these choices have no targets. Like I don't believe there are any multi-faction spells in Vampus's list. I don't believe they can kill relics, so you can't kill Mask with them. I don't actually see why there was a trade there for a channel for a Render's
I mean,
choice.
having one means that you can kill Vodacom, but like
Oh
also
yeah,
once the combo starts, I don't think the opposing
no,
player gets an opportunity to do anything for quite a long time.
yeah, and Voda isn't what kills you. It's like a 96 power to Lear with killer.
Yeah.
Of course, we're still not really seeing Vampus able to do
Yeah.
anything here.
Deadly
Actually,
doesn't
did I probably missed it once again because I'm like sitting here looking at what both players could do to change this game. But Titan attack there, right?
Yes.
We saw. Okay.
I mean,
Hey,
that'll be another tournament.
it will. Now we're making 2 tokens. I'm excited.
Another thing you have to be kind of worried about, though, is those Umbran Reapers that Deadly chose to play, because their effects will result in Deadly gaining some extra life, and
Yeah,
that extra life translates into power.
it does. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that. But although really what Deadly's lacking, not power so much as influence right now.
Very true.
And in the face of this black sky, these tokens don't look so hot.
Not
Which is why
really.
Yeah, which is why we saw Vampus not even attack with them since it's basically just a net gain for Deadly.
I mean, it breaks an Aegis.
Yeah, it does break Aegis. That's true. And actually, with this Harbinger block, which I don't like very much, we're gonna see this these tokens become relevant again pretty quickly. Okay, Harbinger's was the block was taken back. I
Yeah,
am wrong. I am incorrect.
exactly. Why would you block
Yeah,
with Harbinger as well there?
you definitely wouldn't, and I think it's good that Deadly figured that out. It was one of the just one of those mental things. Do I do it? Do I not?
Yeah. Hailstorm gets to kill a couple of units now, but that's mostly spite things, so it doesn't feel
Yeah.
that great. Well,
All right.
Devour
Well,
means that Vampus can dig a bit deeper.
yep. More chances of finding combo pieces. Probably just eats
New
one of these
power
spike lanes.
targets. Yeah, spite lanes.
Because now Vampus has the key power points of the deck are like 9, 11, and sometimes 20. But really, you don't want to be 20 as a key power point for the deck. But oh, just decides a dark return to Lear. Don't really like this
He's
that
doing
much.
that leading into devouring
Yeah.
spite lane.
I get the plan behind it.
He
The
can,
problem is that you're exposing Talir, and I'm
yeah,
really not a huge fan of that.
exposing Talira is very concerning. So another Devour is still a hit. He's able
Yeah,
to use that on another spite lane. Or
We get more
attacking if I've been
chances.
first.
I'm not really sure why the attacks are happening, but whatever.
That's a large net gain for Deadly.
Yeah, I think one of them's gonna get devoured, but I'm just not sure.
Yeah, that even Devour's the one that's going to gain Deadly less life.
Whoops. All right, and as we saw, the both the devours having the Talira didn't actually really do much.
Yeah. And yeah, the combos run out. And
But I mean, it is still looking pretty bad for Deadly. Honestly, I don't know if I would have killed Harbinger, but I guess that's fine. The champion is still too influenced from really being a problem.
there's also no good reason to bottom Talir's favorite there.
Yeah,
Unless you're worried that Talir's going to die, which she will, but if
yeah.
you're worried
Well,
that Talir's going to die, why did you commit her that turn?
yeah. I'm not really positive, honestly. One of the ideas could have been, I mean, there's just no reason to commit her without having a. Okay, see now if we had the
Dark
dark
Return.
return still, but it doesn't matter. I guess now Vampus is attacking with enough power that the combo literally doesn't make a difference.
Yeah,
This is basically going to be a one-sided board wipe, and then Deadly, I don't think really has an out to this.
exactly. As you said, that Justice influences just from Crest of Order
Yes.
to get access to a bit more scouting effects. So it's not like we're going to
Yeah.
be seeing a Harshwell out of Deadly in this one.
But this isn't the first time that we have seen Deadly not get this shadow influence. And one of the problems with the deck construction is definitely only 3 film banners.
Mhm.
And I would not be replacing my film power with anything in a deck that's playing champion.
But without ever actually comboing off that we saw, Vampus managed to beat Deadly.
Was that the match? Okay. Or yes, the round. Oh, that was the end of the round. Excellent.
And with that, we are done with today's tournament. Thank you to everyone who's here and enjoying this, and we hope to be able to see you guys in the future. Remember that we are sponsored by Inked Gaming and Matcherino. If you haven't added to the invitational prize pool through Matcherino yet, you can go do that for free using our code ECL September 18. And if you want to purchase something off of Inked Gaming, such as TGP merchandise, you can use the code TGP12 at checkout to get 12% off your order while also supporting us. Thank you to everybody, players, Kalos for helping us out, you, Grimfan,
Oh, well, thank you. Thank
yeah,
you for your
and
thanks. I appreciate that.
all of our viewers and our players, and everyone who's helped us get to this point monetarily.
So since it's Casual Friday and there's like a poll going on, when do we is that like announced after the whole thing, or do we announce it?
Honestly, I haven't been around while that was being set up, so that's something I'm not 100% sure about, unfortunately.
Okay, maybe later. Okay. All right,
Okay,
yes,
so then
that's not for us. What was your favorite deck then?
mine personally, well, I'm hmm, I
I can
gosh,
tell you mine. Mine it's kind of a tie actually. CFAR's mono shadow control that speaks to my soul because I've tried to make that deck work several times. So that like it also, I just loves I'm a big CFAR fan. And then Cross's Kinna First Flame Reanimator deck, I think, is at my actual favorite deck.
yeah, I'd say either crosses or perhaps flippy flops or
Flippy
both
Flops was a
consoles
mess,
twice.
but it was a beautiful mess. I liked it. I liked it as well. All right. Well, I'll stop asking questions now. Thank you so much for having me here to cast. I really appreciate it. Like
So,
Cygnus said,
just
don't forget to donate.
double checking with our producer, are we going to bring up the poll now for people to vote of their own?
Oh,
I found it. You can use the command exclamation point jank in chat to find the poll. We will not yet be revealing the poll results to just to give you guys some time to for sure make your pick. So
yeah.
thank you,
That sounds good.
everyone.